Just very briefly, I just wanted to make a quick record before the jury comes in that Amy Crumbley and James Crumbley Sr. will not be testifying as defense witnesses. They were on the witness list, however, they are not testifying. They are in the courtroom, which is why we're making a record.
Okay.
Mr. Keese is aware, we did talk about it before coming in the courtroom this morning.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
All rise for the jury.
Always thank you for being on time. You can be seated. Prosecutor, who's your next choice?
Thank you, Judge. The people are going to briefly recall Special Agent Brett Brandon.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, could you please step up and would you state your name for the record and spell your first and last name?
Yes, it's Brett Brandon, B-R-E-T-T, Brandon, B-R-A-N-D-O-N.
Go ahead. Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, you're one of the officers in charge of this case?
Yes,
Okay. And you were here yesterday for Lieutenant Willis's testimony, is that right?
that's correct.
Okay. And you've had the opportunity as well to review surveillance footage of different facilities?
Yes,
Okay, does that include surveillance footage of 1111 Bellevue in Detroit?
it does.
And do you recall when Lieutenant Willis was asked if he remembered if James or Jennifer Crumbley ever left the premises of 1111 Bellevue, he couldn't remember the answer?
I do recall that, yes.
Okay, do you have a definitive answer for us?
Yes,
Tell us about that, please.
yes. So in my review of the video from 1111 Bellevue, I did not observe Mr. or Mrs. Crumbley leave the premises. They did, like we stated yesterday, go to their car several times to smoke cigarettes and come back inside, but they did not leave the premises from what I saw in the surveillance video.
Okay, so we have surveillance video admitted already about 11:30 a.m., around noon a.m. with the time difference on the surveillance camera, that James and Jennifer Crumbley arrived in the parking lot, is that right?
I believe that time is correct.
Okay, and then we saw footage of James Crumbley pulling the vehicle out and back in the same parking spot?
Yes,
Okay, but they never left that location of 1111 Bellevue?
I did not observe them leave, no.
Okay. We heard testimony regarding certain foodstuffs were found in Suite 130 in that location.
That's correct.
In the review of your video, were you able to give us information regarding that?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
So in the afternoon, at some point, the owner of that art studio that they were staying in got into his vehicle, departed, returned a while later with white grocery bags, a bag of ice, and I think a case of waters that he made 3 trips in and out, carrying that into the apartment or into that unit. And then that was the person that dropped off those groceries.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Ross?
Very briefly, Your Honor. Good morning, Agent Brandon.
Morning.
You testified that James and Jennifer left the building, but remained on the premises.
That's correct. Yeah, they were a little out of view of the camera by the front of the vehicle, but from my observations, they would go out there for a few minutes and then walk back in.
From what you recall from your review of the information that you received during your investigation, it wasn't just once or twice, but they actually went in and out of the building multiple times that day, correct?
Yes, I don't recall the number, but it was probably north of 6. And sometimes it would be both of them. Sometimes it would just be Mr. Crumbley. You know, occasionally it would be Mr. Crumbley's particular would come out with his hood up or ball cap on and then walk back in.
And we saw it was snowing that day.
I believe it snowed in the morning, and then as the day went on, it let up. But yeah, it was approaching winter.
It was December in Michigan, so cold.
I don't even recall the temperature, but yeah, it was December in Michigan.
You also, if you recall, there were times when Mr. Crumbley or his wife left the building and went back in during the day, but also at night.
Yes, it started when they arrived and then continued through the evening, yes.
As for the owner of the art studio going to get foodstuffs, I think is what the prosecution referred to it as, you don't know why he went and got it. You just know that he went and got it. Is that fair?
Correct.
No further questions, John.
No, you're right. Thank you.
All right, you may step down.
Thank you, Ron.
And who's the next witness?
Thank you, Judge. I did speak with counsel last night as well as this morning regarding our exhibits, and we approached earlier to talk about that. I will provide the court as well as counsel with our updated version. I have made a record before we started with testimony regarding exhibits that were admitted. I won't go through all of them, but I will rely upon the document that I provided counsel as well as the court that these exhibits are in fact admitted.
And we made an extensive record of which exhibits would be admitted last week, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
That's correct. And the only exceptions that I did want to point out, we have an agreement to exhibit 378. That's a redacted transcript of James and Jennifer Crumbley's interview video at the Oxford substation. There's a stipulation to that. That's 378.
Ms. Lamb, did you have an opportunity to review the transcript?
I did, Your Honor. I have reviewed it. I have spoken with Mr. Keast about it, and we do have an agreement to admit that as an exhibit.
You believe it's accurate?
I do believe it's accurate, Your Honor, yes.
All right, I will admit number 378.
Thank you, Judge. And the only other two exhibits that are currently noted as exhibits on this list are 373 and 374. Those are not admitted and at this point will be omitted from the exhibit list.
373 and 374 will not be admitted.
Yes, Judge.
And Your Honor, I would like the opportunity, and I believe Mr. Keast will do that, to give me a copy of that list to just ensure that I have the same number of exhibits that he has and to make sure that we agree.
Okay, sure.
And Judge, with that, people rest.
Ms. Lehman.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the defense would call Karen Crumbley.
Good morning. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God? Okay, and could you hold this door toward you?
I got it.
And have it step up? And have a seat? And then would you state your name for the record and spell your first and last name?
Karen Crumbley, KarenCrumbley.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to keep your voice up.
Okay.
All right, take a deep breath.
Okay.
Go ahead and say it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Crumbley. Can I call you Karen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Karen, I am gonna again ask that you keep your voice up. You are a little soft-spoken, so I wanna make sure that the jury and the courtroom can hear you, okay?
Okay.
I just have a few questions. How are you feeling today?
Good.
Are you nervous?
Well, I mean, yes, although, I mean, I'm all right.
I'm gonna take you back. Well, let me start with this. Do you know James Crumbley?
Of course, yes.
How do you know him?
He is my brother.
Do you know his son?
Yes, I do.
I am gonna ask that you not say his son's name. We do have some direction from the court not to use his son's name in court.
Okay.
And what is his son's relationship to you?
He is my nephew.
We're gonna be fairly specific. Where do you live?
I live in Welaka, Florida.
Tell the court a little bit about yourself.
I was raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I went and graduated high school, and then I got my medical assistant degree and did a few times in New Hampshire at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Hospital, and then came back to Florida. And I was in a car accident where I lost my right leg, and now I stay in a town that is peaceful, and I have 4 children and 2 grandchildren.
How old are your kids?
17, 18, 23, and 25.
I'm going to take you back to 2021. Where are you living in 2021?
In Weelaca, Florida.
Specifically, I'm going to ask you about April of 2021. Do you recall what was going on in April of 2021?
My mom was in the hospital. My mom passed away April 6th of 2021.
Do you recall if you saw James or his son in April of 2021?
Yes, I did. My brother, James, was there in the hospital with us when my mom passed. And then my nephew came down, I believe, the day after and stayed for the while we had the services. And then we had like a memorial thing, like get together with everybody, cookout and stuff. And then we had the services, the funeral services and things like that.
You said your mom passed away on April 6th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember exactly that your nephew came down on the 7th, or are you not sure of the date? And if you don't know, it's okay.
I know that they left when they found out that my mom had passed. I believe my nephew
Let
and
me
his
stop you for a
mother.
second. Who's they?
My nephew and his mother
Okay.
drove down to Florida from Michigan when they find out, and believe they got there maybe around on the 7th that they arrived.
Okay. So you remember that you saw your nephew maybe the 7th. It might have been the next day, or maybe you're not sure.
Right. Yes.
But it was shortly after the 6th.
Yes. It was very shortly.
While your brother and his son were in Florida, did you spend time with them?
Yes, I did.
Obviously, it was a difficult time with your mom passing away. Do you recall seeing anything concerning about your nephew?
No.
Do you recall him saying anything concerning to you?
No.
And if I ask you about if you recall if anyone,
Will you keep your voice up, just
Yes.
so I want the jury to be able to hear?
Okay, I'm sorry.
thank you, Judge. When I ask you if you recall hearing anything or anyone saying anything, I don't necessarily want to say what they said.
Okay.
That's not allowed, but just if you recall hearing anything.
No.
Do you recall having conversations with your brother where he expressed anything concerning to you about his son?
No.
Do you recall your brother expressing any conversations he'd had with his son that were concerning to you?
No.
Do you recall how long they were there?
I think I'm not honestly too sure. 1.5 weeks, maybe a week.
Okay,
For sure, for a week.
so it was more than a couple of days.
Of course, yes.
And you saw them more than one time.
Yes.
And when I say them, I mean both your brother James and his son.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall seeing James and or your nephew any other time in 2021?
Yes, I went to Michigan with my father and my stepmother to visit. It was actually he knew my father was going, but I was a surprise to my brother. And we went to Michigan. We stayed at their house for about a week.
When you
About
say
3 or 4 days, maybe.
when you say you stayed at their house, whose house did you stay at?
My brother James's house.
And was his son there?
Yes.
And you stayed there for a few days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you spend time with James and your nephew in those few days?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you recall seeing anything concerning?
No.
Do you recall your nephew saying anything concerning to you?
No.
Do you recall your brother talking to you about concerning conversations he had with his son?
So I just
No.
have to object to that question. Honestly, I should object to the last question regarding April as well. She can testify as to what she observed and but not what James said or not said.
Yeah, correct, yes.
From your observations, did you see anything concerning in June of 2021?
Absolutely not.
And did you speak with your brother after June of 2021?
Yes.
Did you speak with your nephew after June of 2021?
Not directly, no. Heard him in the background, tell him I said hi, he said hi, things like that, but not directly, no.
So based on those interactions, although they weren't direct, they were kind of in the background,
Yes.
did you observe anything concerning with your nephew between June of 21 and we'll say November 30th of 2020.
No.
If there had been anything concerning that you had observed, what would you have done?
I would have addressed it, and if I would have known anything, I would have talked to him, I would have took him home with me if there was any kind of inclination that anything was wrong.
Would you have made your brother aware of it?
Of course.
Did you ever make your brother aware of anything you were concerned about?
No, because there was nothing I was concerned about.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Ross?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Mark. I'm going to ask you some questions. If anything I ask is confusing or sometimes I kind of go on a little bit, just let me know and I can rephrase the question.
Okay.
Now, James Tremblay is your brother, obviously,
Correct.
and we refer to him as a shooter. He's your nephew.
Yes.
Okay. The last time you actually saw the shooter was June of 2021? Your nephew?
Shooting in person?
In person, yeah. The last time you saw him?
I think, Your Honor,
Oh,
but she's hesitating. I think I know what she's hesitating about. Do you want to discuss it at the bench?
can we approach? Yes. I think I know what it is.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Case.
Thank you. Before the shooting on November the 30th, the last time you saw your nephew was in June of 2021?
Correct.
Okay, and the last time you saw him before that was in April 2021?
Correct.
Okay. And you, from the time of actually, you may not know this, but everybody's phones in this case were seized and analyzed. Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, including your brothers as well as your nephews?
Yes, sir.
So you're not here to tell us that you had a particularly close relationship with your brother, is that right?
We had a close relationship, but we lived in two different states, so it was mainly, it wasn't like close.
Well, you wouldn't talk very often.
At least maybe once a month.
Well, according to the phone records on your brother's phone, it was far less frequent than that. Does that sound right to you? And I'm not trying to trip you up.
No. We talked on social media as well.
Right, so there's call logs, actual device to device.
Right.
Then there's Facebook calls as well.
Correct.
And I show 2 Facebook calls.
Okay.
And then there's instant messaging, and there's 22 instant messages between you and your brother.
Okay.
And that's the entire year of 2021.
Okay.
And then there's some group Facebook messages
Right.
with other members of the family.
Okay.
Now, your nephew never wrote you a note that said, "Help me,"
No,
Did he?
sir.
and he never drew a picture next to that note with a gun, did he?
No.
Okay, and that would be concerning to you.
Yes.
Okay.
It would
And is
cause-
that what you meant to say, or is that what you meant when you said, what would you have done if you saw something of concerning nature?
I would have brought it up, yes.
Yes, that would be something significant to you as a mother.
To address, yes, of course.
I think it might have glossed over, I want to clarify. On the phone log, there's only 3 actual phone calls between you and your brother in 2021.
Okay.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
Now, you were interviewed in November of 2023 by an investigator when your name was put on the defense witness list. Do you remember that interview?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were asked if you knew you were on the witness list, and you said that you didn't know at that point.
Right.
Okay. And then you said you would have nothing to testify on their behalf because you had no knowledge of the incident until after it happened.
Correct. I had no knowledge of the incident.
Okay. So then you said you didn't know that a gun was bought for your nephew prior to the incident.
I did not know about that weapon, no.
And during that interview, you were asked about guns in the family home back when everybody lived in Florida. And you said, well, some firearms is something that wouldn't be out of the ordinary for someone to own back in Florida when you grew up.
Right,
Do
no.
you recall that?
Yes, I do
Okay.
recall that.
But then you said having guns in the house wouldn't be out of the ordinary, but getting one for your kid would be. At 21 minutes into the interview,
Getting one as in,
giving a gun as a,
no,
gift for
not
your
giving, but to use at a shooting range or whatnot.
well, I'm just
I would
reading
not say problem.
your words, and again, I'm not
Okay.
trying to trip you up.
Yeah, no,
You
okay.
said getting a gun for your kid, that would be out of the ordinary.
Yes.
Thank you.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. The prosecutor asked you about guns in the family home. And you were aware, or let me ask you, were you aware in April or June of 2021 if there were firearms in James Crumley's family home?
Yes.
And what do you know about those firearms, if anything?
I know that there was a Derringer because I saw and held it myself when I was there in June.
And how did you go about seeing and holding it?
He took it out of his room. I had brought it
Let me
up.
stop you. Who's
Okay,
he?
sorry. My brother,
Okay.
James, took it out of his room to show because it was, I guess it's maybe like an antique kind of ish gun. I'm not sure. I don't know really too much about them, but and I wanted to see it and I hold it and it was very heavy. And then afterwards, he put it back in its case and brought it back into his bedroom.
Okay. You said you're not very familiar with guns, right?
Correct.
The prosecutor asked you about a statement that you made about getting a gun for your kid would be, I don't remember the word he used, odd or something along those lines. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you mean by that? It sounded like you were trying to explain that to the prosecutor, and I don't know if we heard it.
I mean, if you're getting a gun specifically for your child to use at his leisure, that would be wrong. But with adult supervision, and I don't see any problem with it.
I have no further questions, Jim.
Just real quick, when you were there in June, here in Michigan in June, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay. And James went and showed you the 22 caliber Derringer, the small gun.
Yes.
Okay. You said he went and where he kept it in his room.
Yes, sir.
And the whole family was there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, you can step down in your excuse. Watch the step right there.
Yes.
All right, who's next? Witness?
No further witness time.
You know?
One moment.
Just to confirm, Judge.
Yes. Oh, that's yes, yes,
I know you did.
yes.
No more about witnesses.
No rebuttal. Thank you.
Just for the record, Ms. Crumbly, who just testified, is in the courtroom. I believe that, is there any objection?
No, she can say she's excused.
Are there any additional witnesses?
Not for the people.
Come to the defense attorney.
All right, right? I apologize. I was trying to see if your lunches could be here earlier. So your lunch will arrive at 11:30. Your lunch will arrive at 11:30 and we'll be hearing closings at 12:30, all right? So I need to tell you that during the trial and between now and the time that you hear closing arguments, you must not read, listen to, or watch any news reports about this case. Under the law, the evidence you consider to decide the case must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the lawyers must be able to cross-examine them. Because news reports do not have to meet these standards, they can give you incorrect or misleading information that might unfairly favor one side. So to be fair to both sides, you must follow this instruction. Please do not go on social media. Please do not post, go on Facebook, do research, and discuss the case with anyone. We have come this far, all right? So please follow my instructions. You're going to be free to go. Your lunch will be delivered to your respective jury rooms at 11:30. But I have to caution you, there's people in the courthouse. There are other trials going on. There is a ton of media here. So I need to trust you to not interact with anyone or listen to anyone talking about the case, or you get it, right? You guys get it? You get it?
Yes.
Okay, I've told you a lot of times, right? So at about 11:30, your lunch is going to be delivered to the jury room. At 12:30, we'll hear closings. It's hard to predict what's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen. So lunch will be at 11:30 and then we'll have closings at 12:30. Do you have any questions about the schedule?
Can we go outside,
Yes,
as long as we're cautious and don't talk?
yes, it's a beautiful day. You can enjoy the sun, take a walk around our beautiful Oakland County campus.
I'm doing it every day.
You were doing it, okay, good, good. Whatever you wanna do, just please avoid people because, you know, not everyone is as well behaved as you 15, let's put it that way. All right? Anything else about that? So your lunch will be here at 11:30 and then your closings at 12:30. All right? Thank you.
All rise for the jury.
You may be seated. They can do this. Okay. Sure. So before you depart, you did change that jury instruction, and then I'm gonna give you the jury instructions. If you have a certain order, I have them in an order that I think is logical, but if you want to change any of it around, you can do it.
The only one I had noticed from last time, Judge, is they have 20.30A after 1613 instead of in the middle. Last time it was in the middle, it didn't seem to really make sense, so.
20.30A and 16, okay.
Yeah, and for reference, that would be right in front of 1615.
All right. Anything about the jury instructions, Ms. Moore?
No, Your Honor.
I'm gonna give you a set of them to make sure that you agree with them before closings.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Ms. Lehman, would you like to inquire of your client?
I would, Your Honor. Mr. Conley, will you please stand up? Thank you.
Mr. Trombley, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down, and would you state your name?
James Robert Crumbly.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Lehman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, James.
Good morning.
You know that you and I have talked about your trial, is that right?
That is correct.
We have talked about how the trial will go.
That is correct.
You know that when you were accused and charged with these offenses, that you have the right to remain silent.
That is correct.
We discussed that that right carries through the trial.
That is correct.
You and I have discussed the whether or not you would testify during your trial.
That is correct.
We talked about the benefits of you testifying.
That is correct.
We talked about the risks of you testifying.
That is correct.
And we've talked extensively about whether or not you would testify.
That is correct.
And knowing all of that, is it your decision to testify or is your decision to remain silent?
It is my decision to remain silent.
Mr. Conley, do you have any questions for me, or do you need any further discussion with your attorney?
No, I don't believe so. Thank you,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I think we're releasing the jury right now. I want to caution everyone that's here to be cautious about interacting with anyone in the courthouse. If someone were to say something or do something in front of one of the jurors, it could be devastating to this process. So I know emotions have been running high through the whole trial, and I'm just asking everybody to please, mind where you are and what you're saying and who you're interacting with, all right? Starting over would be devastating for everyone, all right? So are they released? Okay, so the jury is released. I'm gonna make sure no one's in the hallway before you take them down. So we're gonna have closings at 12:30.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll have the instructions available for you before that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, 20 point, if you put them in the order you want them in.
I'll take care of
we will
it.
Copy them, okay. So we have them, she modified the expert witness, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you return them to us, we'll make a copy for each of you, and we'll also make a copy for the jury. All right?
Thank you, Judge.
All right, so I'll see you here at 12:30. You can take the defendant, but let me make sure that there's no one in the hallway, all right? And I'm gonna ask you all to remain seated while the defendant is taken out. Okay.
Do you want this back or this first? Okay.
You didn't move any.
We did.
This is the
kind of a breakneck pace yesterday. I think we heard from 6 different witnesses. And then on
Hello. Hello, everybody. Okay. Oh, I guess they ended early. Let's see what we have coming up. Baker's not live. Let's whoever missed my recap from yesterday with Kurt from Uncivil. Maybe oh, that's loud. Maybe y'all want to watch that. I do put shades on my hat, Jung. Baker is live in 17. Yeah, I thought he was live now, but he's not. Talk for 17 minutes. Not sure what I talk about other than it was bad. The defense's case was bad. It's not at all what I was expecting or hoping for. Oh, let's see. Where's Baker's feed? You know what I might do? I might just redirect you guys to Baker, and then I'm going to set up another stream for closing, I think, because we have 2.5 hours, right? So for 2.5 hours, I could stream snipe Baker, or I could just send you all over to Baker. So I'll talk for 17 minutes, and then I will redirect you all over to Baker. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'll set up a stream for 2:30 for closing arguments. That's going to be the plan. Sound like a good one? All right. So you guys will head over there. That's all set up. And then I'll set up another stream for the closing arguments. Yep, they're on a break, closing at 12:30. I'd have taken him home from her witness was awful. Yeah. It started off okay. I mean, it was like I thought they were ramping up to something, right? So okay, you've been around the family, you've been around Ethan, you didn't see anything, you have 4 kids. All right, we start there. And then we move into a couple other witnesses that can establish the same thing. Maybe someone who had a conversation with Ethan at some point about something. And then, sort of a even more disinterested person. And then get an expert to say it's not predictable. Should James have testified? I'm going to put a poll up. Should James have testified? She said that if she was concerned about him and that his parents weren't doing what they were supposed to, she would have taken him home. That's what she did say that, but it was context and said that essentially, no, there was nothing wrong that I observed, so I didn't take him home. My poll is showing. Let's see, what do we have so far? We have, let me scroll up here. We have 53% say no, 47% say yes. Seems about right. Why is my internet being screwy? I wonder if there's something up with my computer because my internet is fine. But I've got the spinning wheel of death on the my coverage. It's weird. So that's fair, John. But what evidence did we have that James really heard or saw anything from Ethan? Right? So we were supposed to base this off of the evidence or reasonable inferences that can be inferred from the evidence. But what evidence is there other than text messages to his friend, who the friend didn't testify, Ethan didn't testify to? What evidence do we have? Hey, Lefty. Lefty started streaming the shit video games that he kind of sort of knows how to play. Yeah, everybody rested. The defense called James' sister and testified for about 10 minutes, and then they rested. James did not testify. And we have closing arguments at 12:30. So I'm going to shut the stream down in a few minutes and send you guys over to Baker. And then at 12:30, we'll go live again with closing arguments. Yeah. Yeah, so that's part of the issue, right? It's kind of hard to protect yourself against prosecution with no evidence that will still win because the jurors are rabid nuts out for revenge. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They wouldn't be able to get this across if it wasn't a school shooting, right? The fact that it was a school shooting is going to get the convictions. Then they're going to start applying it across the board to all kinds of other things, which normally shouldn't happen. Right. I'm just saying, this case should be judged based off of the evidence, as all cases should be. But I see less and less of that. You didn't see him note it down. Oh, that's a good question. When the sister was testifying, was the jury paying attention? Mavka, actually, oh, you're not in front of a computer or anything. I could send you a link. While we have a few minutes here, we could, if you want to jump on, I'll send you a link. See what the courtroom impressions were like. Reply. There's a new link so you don't get confused. Yeah. Yeah, we really are. Words are violence, right, guys? Words are violence. Oh, okay. All right, no worries. Maybe I can have you on later, but in the chat, would you be able to say whether or not the jury was taking notes or at all interested in the sister? Yeah, I kind of wish James' attorney handled both cases. Jung, see my last post above. You could just repost it, Jung. You know the rules. If I don't see it, post it again. Put a notice on your YouTube community. Oh, you're making me work. Okay. Both sides tested this morning. Closing arguments to start at 12:30 p.m. There we go. Post is made, John. You know, you have the ability to make posts too on my channel. They seem to be paying attention. I couldn't see the common note taker, but the rest weren't taking notes. Yeah, but you said they weren't generally taking notes anyways. In theory, they shouldn't know. They shouldn't know the outcome of the case. But who knows what they really know and what they told the court. Yeah, maybe the outcome they know about, but they didn't watch the trial. I guess I'm conflating the two. So far, we have 55% saying James should have testified. Go vote in the poll, guys. Go vote in the poll. Probably. But I still think James had a better case. He was in a better position overall. Let's see how closing goes, but you feel Shannon at least put up a fight and actually believed her client's innocence. I feel like James' attorney is just throwing in the towel. I don't think that. James' attorney is definitely more professional, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't care. A lot of times, like I should do a review of depositions because there's a couple of famous, really bad depositions where the deponent's attorney is arguing with the attorney taking the deposition and stuff like that. And that might look good to your client, but it does nothing to help the case. And so you can look like you're fighting hard, but at the end of the day, it didn't help, did it? So we'll see. Nope. It will have no bearing on Jennifer whatsoever. Jennifer's conviction is standalone. And that's the same if they were even tried at the same time. One could be convicted and the other could be acquitted. One does not influence the other. In my opinion, if they knew they only had 1 week testimony, he should have testified. Yeah, that's what I said. When I first saw the sister come up and I was listening to her testimony, I was thinking, okay, this is a good start. Not this is all of it. So I agree. He probably should have testified at that point. You kind of need to bolster. And the jury will get instructions that the number of witnesses doesn't matter. You know, one side can have one or no witnesses. It doesn't mean that the one with the most witnesses wins. But still, you want to kind of tell a story. And I always say trials are like puzzles, right? Each witness, each bit of evidence is like a little puzzle piece. Well, if your puzzle is literally just one piece that you set down, not really, I don't know, it's not compelling, right? It's not a compelling story. It's not a very interesting puzzle. And at the end of the day, jurors are people. They like having stories told to them. And that's part of what trial is storytelling. And imagine a movie with only one character. I'd get bored. And I know there are some out there, but I'd still think Castaway. But even Castaway had, the flashbacks and other characters and stuff. But it's just, it's not very compelling. The defense called James' sister, who testified for about 10 minutes, and that was about it. Her closing can be her story. Yeah, but the closing is the final act, right? Again, there's a reason why 3-act systems, 3-act storytelling goes back to the ancient Greeks and I'm sure before, because it's a way for us humans in our brains to naturally absorb a story. And it's for whatever reason, it's the way our brain works. And so you don't want to just, whimper in with an opening, miss the middle, and then have the third act. It's not compelling. It's all about showmanship. This is a song and dance game when it comes to trial. I don't have time for bingo. Sorry, Jung. Normally, if you guys are new here, normally for closing arguments, we do bingo. But since this isn't a trial that I'm like commentating on regularly, we just can't do bingo. But gun lock would be good. If Jung wants to run it from the chat, that's great. I just can't participate today. I have a trial myself, and I've got deadlines today and yesterday. So no Florida X, just the sister from Florida. So maybe that was the witness or one of the witnesses. But it's still weird that it was a defense witness. It's a volleyball. Well, there. Yeah, I do too. Yes, I quit streaming. By the way, is Baker ready yet? Oh my God, another minute and a half, 2 minutes. I'm gonna need to message him. Telling him to hurry up because I'm waiting to redirect to him. It's the only reason I watch volleyball. But I watch the men's volleyball. Welcome everybody. I see some people joining us. So the defense closed. Well, the state rested. Sorry, the state rested earlier today after recalling the ATF agent for like 5-10 minutes. I don't really understand the point of that. And then defense called one witness, James's sister from Florida. She testified that she has 4 kids, didn't notice anything abnormal about Ethan. Last time she saw him in person before the shooting was in June of 2021, that everything seemed normal. There were no cause for concern. If there was any sort of cause for concern, she would have taken Ethan home with her, but she didn't because there was none. And that was it. With that, the defense rested. James did not testify. The court sent the jury back on an early break, is bringing in lunch for them early, and closing arguments will be at 12:30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this stream down, redirect you all over to Baker, the Broken Baker, who's covering Karen Reed, and then I'm going to set up a new stream for closing arguments at 12:30. So you can all join me back then. No mention of Ethan's new kitty cat either. What happened to the cat, Jung? Where's the cat? They struck some witnesses, including an expert. What do you mean struck? Did the court say they weren't allowed to call the people? Or are you talking about the state's expert? I'm confused. Were you privy to something that we didn't hear in the stream? Are you talking about this morning? By the way, Mavica is in the courtroom. Came on my panel yesterday to give us some thoughts and feelings about the jury. But he is currently there this morning and witnessed everything going on and has been in chat. So everyone say hi to him. They said they were going to change them before the jury came in. Oh, so they decided not to call them? Did the defense have an expert that they decided not to call? Yeah, I saw her give an interview too about James' trial, and just like, why? So the defense had an expert that decided not to call. Maybe on the stream very early. You know what? Real quick, because Baker's not going yet. Let's go back. Let's go back to early this morning. We had sound issues, and we weren't able to necessarily hear everything at the very beginning. So let's go back. This is from earlier this morning. See how short the stream was from this morning. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do.
Good morning, you may be seated.
We actually just wanted to speak about timing, Judge.
Oh, all right, did you get a copy of the expert witness jury
Yes, Judge.
instruction? Okay, if you have fill-ins for that.
I can just scratch out who we need. We don't need Dr. Bryan or Dr. Packard on this.
Does it say what Detective Waglarowski is an expert in?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you give it to us, we'll change it. I want to give you a complete set of the jury instructions and
Okay, so what they're referencing is the jury instructions. There's a specific jury instruction regarding expert witnesses, and usually you list their names. And since those experts weren't called, they're talking about crossing out the names. So, but it's not clear if they were, at least right now, if they were defense witnesses or state expert witnesses.
make sure you agree with them.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
May we speak with you off the record regarding timing?
Sure.
No. Really?
Minor tweaks. All right, we had a discussion about some jury instructions. We have to make some minor tweaks, and then I'll make copies for both sides. And I'm going to provide the jury with some copies of the jury instructions as well.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We also discussed some scheduling, and you want to recall someone, I think.
Yes, Judge. We're going to recall Special Agent Brett Brandon for very brief testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so are you ready for the jury?
We have not.
Not yet. And Bart Keast on behalf of the people.
Mario Lehman on behalf of Mr. Cumberland.
Karen McDonald on behalf of the people.
All right. Mr. Crumley, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, thank you.
All right, we're going to bring the jury in.
Thank you, Judge.
So I didn't hear anything that the experts that were struck were part of the defense or part of the state. Maybe they were listed as state's witnesses, as potential rebuttal witnesses. I don't know. It's not clear. Let's see. I have issues with the jury instructions. Can we see this jury instruction? Not these specific jury instructions, but I'd be more than willing to pop a link into the chat for Michigan's sort of general jury instructions. So this document is like 1,000 pages long, but what it has is a table of contents, and then you can go through and pull out the general ones that you want to use. Now there's some. Oh, that link didn't work. That's such a stupid link. Let me see here. Find a better one. So what you do is you go through and, well, let me. I can pull it up. Let me show you guys. Okay. So this is the general jury instruction here. Booklet. You can see it's like 1,000 pages. All right. And so you go to juror oath following selection. All right. So preliminary instructions for prospective jurors, juror oath following instructions. So you can say like, all right, so it lists all the okay. This is what we were going through, Kurt and I were yesterday. So it lists all the procedural, like, so here's the procedural instructions. And then here's the composite instructions, duty of the judge and the jury. What is evidence, summary of evidence, things like that. And then you get into, there's another chapter 4 specifically about evidence, about witnesses. If we're using, police witnesses should not be given any more weight. Here's the expert witness jury instruction. So you've heard testimony from a witness blank who has given you his or her opinion as an expert in the field of blank. So you need to list those out. And so that's why they were striking those particular names of witnesses. So that way they, because they weren't called, right? So you're not confusing the jury and you're like, oh, I didn't hear about this witness. But you propose them ahead of time. You submit all these ahead of time to the court. Both parties agree on them. And then you, if you have to make adjustments towards the end of the trial, you do. So here's chapter 6 regarding state of mind. Here's chapter 7 regarding defenses. And then chapter 8, aiding and abetting. Chapter 9, attempt. Chapter 10 is conspiracy, solicitation. Chapter 11 is weapons. Controlled substances is chapter 12. So you have all these chapters, police, prisons, perjury, traffic offenses. And before trial, you go through and you say, Judge, I think these set of instructions are what you should tell the jury. And then the state will submit theirs. And then mostly you'll agree. You might need some fine tuning, but then towards the end, you modify these a little bit. Let's see. It'll be after closing that the alternate jurors will be selected. Keep playing the video. It's coming. Okay. Where's my video?
Oh, yes. Should I do that? Your Honor, just very briefly, I just wanted to make a quick record before the jury comes in that Amy Crumbley and James Crumbley Sr. will not be testifying as defense witnesses. They were on the witness list, however, they are not testifying. They are in the courtroom, which is why we're making a record.
Okay.
Mr. Keese is aware, we did talk about it before coming into court this morning.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's just about the two other witnesses named Crumbley that aren't testifying. That's not an expert. Yeah, so that's it. So second degree murder. I wanted to try to get first degree murder. Let's see, these are the murders. First degree felony murder, poisoning, lying in wait. Let's see, where is involuntary manslaughter, failure to perform a legal duty. So this is one of the counts against James, that the defendant is charged with the crime of involuntary manslaughter resulting from his failure to perform a legal duty. To prove this charge, the prosecutor must prove each of the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that the defendant had a legal duty to the four individuals. The legal duty charged here is state the legal duty, and I forget exactly how it's phrased, but it's something along the lines of protect them from an unhinged son who had access to a firearm. Second, that the defendant knew that the facts had given rise to this duty. Third, that the defendant willfully neglected or refused to perform this duty, and his failure to perform was grossly negligent to human life. Fourth, that the death of those four students was directly caused by the defendant's failure to perform that duty. So that's one of them. There's a bunch of different types of involuntary manslaughter. Firearms, he didn't discharge a firearm. Involuntary manslaughter. Generally, the defendant is charged with the crime of involuntary manslaughter. You may also consider, oh no, this would be a lesser included. See, so there's like a ton of different jury instructions that you can select from. And not every one, like these particular types, they don't fit into this neat little packet sometimes. So they modify them a little bit when you're doing these types of cases. No student testified. I know. He didn't the school. I know, right? So if I was a juror judging the facts, I would agree with you. I have issues with these. Yeah, I don't know if I put the link, if the link was successful. Let me see here. It's kind of a long link. Actually, this might be a shorter one. Let me see if this works. Yeah. Okay. So I just put the link to the jury instructions in the chat if you guys are all interested. In the meantime, I'm going to shut this down, send you guys over to Baker, and I'll see you all back here at closing for closing at 12:30.
When I was young, my daddy said, gotta keep one eye